Hello, welcome to Steve's Arts and Crafts channel. Again, this is the second part of the video of the one where I messed up. So I'm applying the alcohol ink here to the top of the Yupo paper, and I'm using a 75% alcohol mix with this, as well as a 99% alcohol mix, and I'm dropping in the 75% alcohol mix into the alcohol ink here to see what sort of pattern comes from it. As you can see, it's because it's the 75% alcohol ink, it is very fluid, so it dilutes it quite a lot and it stays quite wet for a considerable amount of time. So blowing it around with a hairdryer, I will get a different type of finish to it here. And what I'm doing here is I'm just rubbing it out and just so it gives really a bit of colour, because I'm not actually wanting it to be that depth. So there's a bit of base background colour. I'm just seeing what happens here with a bit of texture with the kitchen paper. As you can see, that's nearly dry now. So moving forward, I make sure that I've dried that off completely before I then go on and add another colour. So what I intend to do here is dilute down this colour, which is the sapphire blue. And I'm using 99% alcohol with this because it will evaporate a lot quicker, it will dry a lot quicker, but it won't move around quite as much as it would with the 75% alcohol. It's all percentages, but don't worry about it. I just write it on my bottle and I know exactly what it is I'm doing and where it is. Well, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing most of the time, but so as you can see, it is spreading out nicely and it's pushing the ink out and creating a circle where I've put those dobs on. I'm allowing that to do its own thing because I want to see what happens here and what sort of patterning and that it makes. And again, there's me trying to do some special effects with my little vape. And this is some bright yellow I'm putting in here. And as you can see, where I've wiped this board clean, wiped this Yupo paper clean from the previous attempt at a painting I did, I can now use it as if it's a new piece of Yupo paper, apart from the fact it's got a slight yellowy stain to it. So again, I'm adding the 99% alcohol here. And I'm going to move it around with the hairdryer. Now, the hairdryer does dry it quite quickly, and that can actually give you some really good effects if you've got quite a lot on there. But I would probably, now that I've got it, I would have probably used the airbrush or a straw to blow through to move that around more, because it would move it around a lot more than it does with the hairdryer, because as I said, it evaporates the alcohol off and dries it quite quickly. So I'm now having to go back in again with some bright yellow. But what I'm doing is, instead of going in with the neat colour, I'm making a diluted version of it. So it will be a thinner colour, but equally it gives quite a good effect. And I've done that with 99% alcohol. So after giving it a quick shake, it's really ready to use. And as you can see now, it's a lot lighter colour, and it will spread around quite a lot. But it will still leave, where I've put those darker patches of sun bright yellow on there, it will still leave that contrast there as well, which actually does give quite a nice effect, but it will blend in, so it's not a harsh difference between the two different sun bright yellows there. And as again, put your caps back on, because alcohol ink does evaporate quite quickly and you don't want to be losing it. So now I'm going in with purple, and this is purple that I've used along with 99% alcohol in a similar way that I made it for the sun bright yellow. Now these little bottles you can buy so cheaply. I just bought 12 of these with these little tiny thin tops on, needle tops on in Amazon for, I think it was £9. Okay, so I'm letting that do its thing. As you can see, it's now developed into quite a nice pattern. I'm actually writing on the bottle here what I've used and what I've made up to ensure that I don't mix it up. So I'm going to do the same here again with red. So this will be the chili red. Again, just probably 5 drops of that into the bottle. And then the rest will be, well, no, I won't fill the bottle up with alcohol ink, but I will probably put about 1.5 centimeters in of alcohol ink, of alcohol, 99%, to ensure that I get a good dilution there. And it's a nice light colour. Quick shake. And as you can see now, it is quite a nice fluid, light colour of red. There was a little bit of something fell onto the Yupo paper there, so I took it out now because you want to take it out before it dries, because if you find anything on there, just remove it. So now I'm going in with the neat chili red, and that will spread out now a little bit in that alcohol that's there. And you don't need a great deal of these colours put down at once. It depends what the effect is that you're looking for. So now I'm moving it around with, and as you can see, it's quite saturated with alcohol. I'm moving it around a little bit with the dryer, but at the same time, it will be drying it as well, and holding the pattern into place. And you can get some nice rippled effects by using that. Now, I'm not happy with that dark patch at the top, and that's where the inks have bled in to each other. So I'm going to be removing that. And as you can see, I play around with that top, and as you'll see later on in this video, I do play around with that top quite a lot. And again, perhaps I just overworked it a little bit later on in the video, but the end result, I think, is really nice. So now I'm going in here with 99% alcohol because I don't want those 4 heavy drops that are there, and I don't want that harsh line that's there around that bit on the right as you're looking at this piece of paper. And that's kind of, in a way, it kind of bleaches out that colour. And you can leave that, and it does give, again, it gives a really enjoyable effect, but I'm going to try and soften that off a little bit. And as you can see, I've put that little bit of red in that sun bright yellow, and I've softened that off, and now I'm softening off these edges here. And that's what you just play around with it until you're actually happy with what you've got. Working with alcohol inks like this is very free form. It's not about precision. It's about having a real clear, abstract painting. If you can paint with these inks, and I will be doing some videos on that, where I'll be drawing some flowers on the Yupo paper, perhaps some birds or butterflies, and showing people how I use them, or I hope to use them, for painting. And you use a lot less alcohol for that. So once again, I'm going back in with the dryer, and as you can see, that colour at the top now has all but gone. But it does leave a little bit of depth, and it does allow you to create quite a nice, almost background texture to this painting. And there would be nothing wrong with leaving this as it is. It is quite nice. I'm not sure I would be happy with what's in the top left-hand corner as you look at this video. I would have to change that, but the rest of it is actually quite nice. Again, I'm trying to move that ink around, and I'm allowing the alcohol, the 99% alcohol, to do what it does, and that's move it around. And that was with that slight yellow touch to it. And if there is something that you particularly don't like there, I've now put a lot of yellow into that, and I've actually blown most of that bit that I didn't like around or off to enable it to, for my eyes, be a nicer painting. Now, I actually really like where I am here, and this would have been a good place to stop and had a nice white frame around it, and perhaps put it in a frame to hang on the wall, because to me it looks like a really nice deep sunset from a lovely day. So, but I want to play around with this a bit more, because it's all about me learning as well how these work, and showing how these develop and the different things that you can do with this. So I do dry this off quite a lot now, and as you can see, the colours are starting to set where they are, the patterns are starting to set, and that really bright yellow bit in the middle of this picture, if I ever move my hand out the way, I think really sets this whole thing off. It gives it a mood. It gives it a feeling of warmth. Now my dogs look like they're about to bark, Daisy and Lily, and I'm sure they will any minute now, because they're both sitting near me looking out the window. No, they're being very good. So again, I'm going back in with the red because I want to soften that little bit off there that is a bit heavy, and I'm using my finger here to stop it almost bleaching in an area, and then back in with the dryer to dry it, and it's created some tendrils there as well, almost like a burst of colour. And the bit that is on the middle of the right hand side as you're looking at the screen, I actually really like how that there has blended in with the sunbright yellow and the chili pepper red, and you know, it is actually quite pleasant. And this is where I should actually, and this is what I would advise you to do, is stop and take a good look at your picture. Maybe leave it for a couple of minutes and go back to it, because it doesn't matter if it dries out completely, because you can reactivate any of these inks at any time with a bit of alcohol or with a bit of alcohol ink. So I'm going in here with a bit of screwed up paper towel, just to take that harshness off that line there, to ensure that I don't have a real solid line. And now I'm going back in with the 99% alcohol and a few drops of yellow to again try and soften that line off. And using the dryer again, drying it out quite quickly. And there we go, that's that picture nearly finished. And there is a second stage to this where I then block some bits off. Thank you very much, hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like and subscribe.